Welcome to POMpod, the Peace of Mind podcast. I'm Travis Gasper, an estate planning attorney and the founder of Gasper Law. This is the show where we cut through the complexity of estate planning and give you clear, practical guidance you can actually use. Before we get into today's topic, I want to say something that I don't think gets said enough in this space. If you're listening to this and you don't have an estate plan yet, you're not behind. You're not irresponsible. You're not unusual. You're the majority. Most people who care deeply about their families, who are thoughtful and responsible in every other area of their lives, have still been putting this off. And I think I know why. That's actually what today's episode is about. In all my years of practicing estate planning in Texas, I have almost never, and I mean almost never, had a client tell me they skipped their estate plan because they couldn't afford it. That's not the reason. The real reason is something a lot quieter and a lot more universal. And once I name it, I think you're going to recognize it immediately. It's activation energy. In chemistry, activation energy is the minimum amount of energy required to start a reaction. Even reactions that would ultimately release a lot of energy, reactions that are clearly worth happening, don't start without that initial push. That's exactly what's happening with estate planning for most families. It's not that they don't want a plan. It's not that they don't understand why it matters. It's that starting feels like it requires more than they have available on any given day. And so it stays on the list, month after month, year after year. I've heard every version of this. We've been meaning to do this. We're going to get to it after the holidays. We just need to find the right time. I don't even know where to start. And underneath all of those, usually one of a few things. Barrier number one, overwhelm. People picture estate planning as a massive, complicated legal process, stacks of documents, legal jargon, a long list of decisions they're not sure how to make. Here's the reality. For most Texas families, an estate plan consists of a handful of core documents, a will, powers of attorney, sometimes a trust. The decisions involved are not as complicated as people fear, especially with the right attorney guiding the conversation. Barrier number two, emotional avoidance. Estate planning requires you to think about things most people prefer not to think about. What happens if I die? What happens if I'm incapacitated? What happens to my kids? These are uncomfortable questions, and the brain is very good at finding reasons to postpone uncomfortable things. But here's what I tell my clients. The discomfort of the conversation lasts about an hour. The peace of mind that comes after it lasts the rest of your life. Barrier number three, not knowing what you don't know. A lot of people avoid the first step because they feel like they should show up prepared, with the right questions, with a clear picture of their assets, with decisions already made about who gets what. You don't need any of that. My job is to ask you the right questions. Your job is to show up and answer them honestly. That's it. Barrier number four, the belief that you don't have enough to need a plan. We're not wealthy enough for this to matter. I hear this constantly, and it's one of the most persistent myths in estate planning. Estate planning is not about how much you have. It's about making sure that what you have, your home, your accounts, your kids, your wishes, goes where you want it to go, handled by the people you trust. A family with a modest home and 2 young kids needs an estate plan just as much as a family with significant wealth, maybe more. I want to walk you through what the first step actually looks like, because I think it's smaller than most people expect. At Gasper Law, we start with what we call a peace of mind planning session. It's a focused consultation, virtual or in person, where we talk through your family, your assets, and what you want to happen if something goes wrong. I ask the questions, you answer them. By the end of that session, you know exactly what kind of plan makes sense for your situation, what it will cost, and what happens next. No jargon, no pressure, no surprises. Most people leave that first session saying some version of the same thing. That was so much easier than I expected. That is always the goal. Here's what I want you to take away from this episode. The reason you haven't done this yet is almost certainly not the reason you think it is. It's not money. It's not complexity. It's not that you don't care. It's that starting felt bigger than it actually is. Now you know what starting actually looks like. One conversation, a clear plan, documents that protect your family, your spouse or partner, your kids, whoever matters most to you for the rest of your life. If you've been putting this off, I hope that this is the episode that changes that. Thanks for spending this time with me today. If you want more clear, practical guidance like this, follow POMpod, the Peace of Mind podcast, wherever you listen. And to learn more about our planning process, visit gasperplan.com. Until next time, take care of yourself and take care of the people you love.